County Board to order at 6:34. We will start with Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing for invocation by Mr. Terranoni.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please pray with me. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we are eternally thankful for the gift of life, the many gifts and blessings you've given us in our community, our country. We are forever worshiping you and your greatness. We pray for the family of Pat Emery, one of our deputies who just tragically passed away. We pray that you reach out with your loving arms to his friends, family, co-workers. Give them comfort, give them hope. In the name of your Son, Jesus, amen.
Amen.
Roll call, please.
Carl Johnson.
Here.
Sherry Bartelt.
Here.
Jeff Carlisle.
Here.
Denny Ellingson.
Here.
Sherry Gieske.
Here.
Carl Larson.
Here.
Ray Larson.
Here.
Jessica Milner. Marshall Newhouse.
Here.
Bernard O'Malley.
Here.
Brad Stark.
Here.
Kathy Ward.
Here.
I'd accept a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Motion by Mr. Carlisle. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Stark. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, I'd accept a motion to approve the minutes from the January 16th County Board meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Newhouse. Is there a second?
A second.
Second by Mr. Carlisle. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up, we have appointments. There are a couple of appointments. My computer will bring them up. We have an appointment for Capron Cemetery, for the Boone County Housing Authority, and for a new position, Land Bank. Our own Ms. Gieske is going to be the county board representative for our land bank that we just did in conjunction with the City of Belvidere, City of Rockford, and the County of Winnebago. With that, I'd accept a motion to approve the appointments as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Carl Larson. Is there a second?
Second.
By Mr. O'Malley. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next up, public comment. If there's anybody else yet in the audience that would like to speak, I do have three sheets here now. If there's anybody else, I'd ask that you please fill out one of these white sheets in the front and then bring it up here just so we have record. First up, I have Dan Delpra. If you'd like to come up, and then please just make sure you speak real close into the microphone, and then as you come up, please state your name and address for the record for me, please.
It's Daniel Delpra, 331 Greenview Court, Poplar Grove, Illinois, 61065. As some of you are aware, my family has owned businesses in Boone County for over 75 years. I also personally live in Boone County, so I call this home. I do a lot to support this community, and that's one of the reasons why I joined the fire department, for the community. I just don't want our community to have to go through, in the words of our chairman, who stated last meeting, another firestorm. I usually don't speak up due to owning a business. It is already hard enough in these times without worrying about the people might think or whether or that they will support us. So tonight I'm talking as a firefighter and as a resident. What is best for our community? I am a member of North Moon District 3 Fire Department and EMS, and it has come to my attention through Mr. Mike Winnie, our new trustee, that your intent is to dismantle the good old boys network that you feel is our department. To all of you, please understand what you call a group of good old boys we call brotherhood and sisterhood. Mr. Chairman, until you have stood outside of a burning building waiting for your brother or sister firefighter to come out, knowing you may have to go in after them, you won't understand the bond between firefighters. Anytime we get called out, I know that I may be responsible for the life of one of my fellow firefighters. That my experience, my training, and all the years of working side by side these men and women may be difference between their lives and death. It could also be the difference between members of our community living and dying. Remember, these people are our neighbors. They have relied on this department for over 60 years. We have never let them down. Now we hear that you want to put us in a position where we won't have skilled personnel to continue this commitment to our community. Why you would risk the safety of the public by getting rid of experienced men and women from our department, I don't know. But if you go forward with this plan, you need to understand it is our department and our community. Safety that will suffer. Also, Mr. Chairman, please recognize there are some very brave women who serve on this department. Lumping them as a part of a group of good old boys is insulting to them and does great disservice to the commitment to our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, I have Steve Johnson. Once again, I ask, please make sure you speak clearly into the microphone and state your name and address for me. Thank you.
Steve Johnson, 1400 Candlewick Drive, Poplar Grove. I'm a 30-year member of the North Boone Fire District 3 Fire Department. I am a first responder for EMS, fire. Our job is to effectively do our job correctly, and with that, we need good leaders. It has come to our attention, to our newest trustee, that now we are choosing those leaders through their political positions. Primary qualifications are politicized by doing the work of the chairman's wishes. If they don't follow his agenda, they're not appointed. With our last two trustees, Mr. Pecora and Mr. Winnie, is a clear indication that you are not appointing qualified personnel. It is through our latest trustee, Mr. Winnie, that our current board president, Mr. Heath Morrell, will not be reappointed next year when his position's up, because he's not one of your political minions. To each and every one of you, how many lives will it take to be put at risk to carry out a political agenda? I think it's very petty. I think you need to put the qualified people in the position that need to be there. This is not cronyism. You need to definitely follow the qualified candidate and put them there. I would hope the board would go back to appointing qualified people and not follow a political agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, I have Christy Wilson.
Christy Wilson, 612 Constitution Drive, Poplar Grove. I'd like to say good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members. I'm a member of the North Boone District 3 Fire Department, EMS. I'm here this evening to let you know that when you place politics over competency in areas involving first responders, you risk the lives of the members of our community. Our department has had a 60-year commitment to the community we serve. That commitment means we will put their safety and care above our own. We honor that commitment every time we get a call and leave our homes or leave our firehouse to go serve the community members in need. As the county board, you also share a commitment to put the needs of our community above petty political agendas. It now appears from what a county board chair has told our newest trustee, you are choosing to break that commitment. It seems that politics is more important than safety, and that political loyalty is more important than qualifications when it comes to our trustees. I hope that the county board will reconsider the path it is on and go back to hiring qualified trustees rather than political yes men. Furthermore, it appears that the last round of appointments, a highly qualified woman was overlooked for a trustee position in place of a completely unqualified man. She spent decades.
Excuse me, Ms. Wilson. If you're trying to make an accusation, this is not a place to make accusations or attacks.
I'm just stating a comment, sir.
That is a strict accusation.
I'm making a comment,
and this is not
sir.
A place for that.
Okay. I will just state her qualifications, if you will.
You have 3 minutes.
I'm almost done. This qualified woman spent decades on the cutting edge of EMS services. And after proving her abilities as a trustee, was not only not reappointed, but later found out that the board chair never planned to even consider to hire her for the job. Whether this was another example of petty politics or the board chair openly discriminating against a woman, it is a shameful thing to see this so openly on display for any member of this board. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Council on Aging.
We met last night. Things are really running quite smoothly. I think they're making a lot of progress on trying to help take care of the elderly. One thing that was pointed out last night is that I think we have a group that when it comes time to do open enrollment for Social Security insurance in the fall, they can be something that everybody that's probably close to over 65 ought to be looking at to see what kind of insurance might be better than another. They don't sell insurance, but they are certified in helping people find what might be the best match for their need. And they did a small piece on it last night, and they saved people in this county probably, well, one person in here saved about 30 people about $60,000 last year by making some changes that, we don't tell them who to buy from, but they tell them where it looks to be the best opportunity for them at that time. And it's something that changes every year with insurance. So it's a real benefit to go utilize that offered service.
Any questions? Next up, Growth Dimensions. I think I saw Pam here. There she is.
Good evening. There's a few things I just wanted to update. As far as the enterprise zone, still early in the year. We've had one project that has been reported, but we have actually 9 in the pipeline this year. So we, some of them are new businesses and others are growth or expansion, relocation projects. We are still working on 19 open projects from 2018. So we'll continue working with them, but again, working on the existing projects. Right now, we've had almost $750,000 in construction material cost and $1.8 million in capital investment thus far this year from one business. In addition, we have a presentation that's coming up focusing on business incentives. This will be held on the 26th, so next Tuesday, at the Boone County Museum, Historical Museum. We're finding a lot of companies, either due to some of the changeover in their staff, or, maybe there's different needs at different times within their business span, we find that they're not well versed in what incentives and benefits are available. So we're trying to make sure that we're putting that education out in front of them and sharing that information. We're also looking at various ways in which we can communicate that and have that more readily available for companies. But again, this is available for anybody that wants to attend. It's 8 a.m. on February 26th at the Boone County Museum. It'll cover the EDGE program, the foreign trade program, enterprise zones, and opportunity zones. We're also, this is our 40th anniversary for Growth Dimensions, so we are celebrating this year of economic sustainability in our county. And this is not just a celebration for Growth Dimensions. We're really celebrating the businesses in our community, the organizations throughout time, and the people that have made our community great. So we're right now accepting pictures, stories, interviews from all the above. So if you know anybody that should be part of that program, we look forward to hearing from you or from them. Our program is going to be on April 4th at the community building in Boone County. So we hope that we'll be able to see you all there. We're looking forward to a good program. We've also, I'm going to share an educational statement that we released early in February, and actually we completed it in end of January. This is an educational statement focusing on what we identified as educational priorities. There's been a lot of discussion with higher education about what their focus should be. We're not in the field of supporting any one person up for an election, but we wanted to make it clear about what we feel is important in connecting those education priorities with the current and future workforce. So we've identified three that, one, that educational and technical training that meets the current and future needs of the modern workforce. We also feel that there needs to be a focus on education and training programs that result in an increase in skill development and personal advancement. We also believe that we need, the educational institutions need to serve as a bridge between the local employers and our K through 12 institutions. So that's primarily the gist of it. We released this. Feel free to share this with whomever you'd like. We're available to address any type of questions and try to help support, again, entities that are focused on these initiatives. And finally, we wanted to share about this morning, our executive committee approved Golden Shovel Agency as our vendor of choice to redo our website. We had a very thorough review of various providers in and out of the area, and with a vast difference of qualifications. We ended up choosing this one because of their expertise in economic development. We felt that they were more in touch with what the needs of that economic development agencies had to be in order to attract and retain businesses in the community. So we are looking forward to starting that process. We have a meeting next week, and once we have some type of something to look at, we'll share it with you and get some comments. It's always good to get different perspectives. Any other questions? Any questions?
Mr. Newhouse.
Yeah, early in your talk, you mentioned that there were businesses, I think you said 19 carried over that you're still looking at from last year.
They're still open projects, correct.
You're very good at not mentioning names, but could I ask, is it a mix of retail or industry, or how would you characterize the businesses that are looking at Boone County?
A combination. They're manufacturing and commercial retail companies. These are 19 open projects that are currently receiving enterprise zone services. So these are ones that are currently either building or in the process of in the middle of their building and construction in Boone County.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Kieske.
I'm not sure, this might not be in your wheelhouse, but I suspect Can you talk a little bit about the fate of Shopko?
As far as we know, we've all talked to their corporate office, and they do not intend to close this location. That at this time, in Belvidere. Now, I do understand that Payless has been is closing all their locations. So, but we had a discussion with them a couple weeks ago, and they indicated that they did not intend to close this location.
Ms. Ward?
I think my daughter got a notice that they're closing their pharmacy, though, because she's always gotten her closed. Okay.
That could very well be. Now, I understand that there's different requirements that, and it's almost run separately. However, that's not the majority of their workforce, and their income comes from the store itself.
Mr. O'Malley?
I would like to see you contact CVS, since they're the carrier for Chrysler. They really need to take a position in this town. We're losing tons of revenue to Rockford CVS because they all have to go there for everything. Now, or has that changed? Well, that just changed. Okay. What is it?
Well,
Is it Walgreens? Anywhere. Oh, anywhere. Okay.
Well,
changed this year.
I think one of the difference and challenges that we have is that we do not have a 24-hour pharmacy here in Boone County, and we do have a 24-hour medical service. So I've had discussions with Walmart about, since they already are open, if they would open their pharmacy, and I don't think that they've moved on that. So I think that is an opportunity to have some discussion with other providers to open for a 24-hour period.
Just an aside, talking about the website that they're proposing, we heard a little bit about it this morning at the directors meeting, and it sounds very, very interesting, and I'm happy that things are moving forward. It sounds like it's going to be a very, very useful tool to our community. So,
Absolutely. Thank
kudos
you.
to Growth Dimensions for getting that going.
Thank you. I look forward to it.
Anything further?
Thank you.
Thanks, Pam.
Thank you.
Next up, CASA. I don't see Charlotte, so Jeff, are you going to be our Charlotte today?
Yeah, I'll be your Charlotte.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, Charlotte speaks a little different today. The basic thing we have tonight, I want to let everybody know, the Four Icons group are going to be playing on the 24th of February, this Sunday. Starts at 1:30. It's good music. They're icon singers. We discussed that kind of last month. But that is happening at 1:30 Sunday, the 24th. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Next up, Board of Health.
Good evening, County Board and members of the public. I'm Amanda Mail with the Boone County Health Department, and just going to give a couple of quick updates. Again, we've been reorganizing and realigning our department and our Board of Health report with the 12 accreditation domains for National Public Health Accreditation. So I'll just highlight a few things. Domain 4 is Mobilize Community Partnerships, and we are currently working with District 100 on some trauma awareness and trauma-informed initiatives here in Boone County. Several of you are signed up for the public community trauma awareness event that is happening on this Friday, the 22nd, at the local UAW. Over the lunch hour, we do have a speaker, an MD from the Chicago area, coming to talk about partnerships that are happening across the state, and we've been working closely with District 100 on this. So for those of you that signed up, thank you for representing the Boone County Board, and look forward to seeing you on Friday. We're also pushing out information about our April poverty simulation that we are hosting in conjunction with the Boone County Hunger Coalition. And one of the initiatives that we did 2 years ago that we are repeating this year is the poverty simulation. And that date will be April 16th of this year, 11:30 to 3:30 at the Boone County Community Building. So I will pass these around. at that event, which I will encourage all of you to sign up for. Next month, we should have the formal invite. We will be exploring the issues of food insecurity here in Boone County, and also poverty, which oftentimes go hand in hand. So food insecurity is the lack of consistent, nutritious, affordable food relating to household-level economic and social conditions. So just so you are all aware, we have approximately 3,900 people in Boone County that are food insecure, and that's 3,900 people too many. The rate of childhood food insecurity is higher than that. We have about 2,300 of our 14,000 kids here in the community that are food insecure. So this event will explore ways in which we can engage with the Boone County Coalition, Hunger Coalition, on addressing these food insecurity needs. Domain 5 is develop plans and policies, and we have finished our strategic plan report out for the year. It's our first ever time reporting out on our strategic initiatives, which is the plan that we put together last year, one of the many that I've shared with you. And I did email that in draft form out to county board members, I believe, last week. Domain 6 is enforce laws, and for this one, we do have a proposed ordinance change on tonight's county board agenda, and I am going to invite Ellen Genrich, who has been our health department spokesperson working on this initiative, to go over this information sheet with all of you this evening, just to bring you up to speed on the recommendations, because public health enforcement and code enforcement is a huge piece of the essential services that we do provide in the community. So I'm going to turn it over to her.
Hey, thanks, Amanda. Good evening, everybody. Some of you have already sat through some of the information that is on this sheet. We're really concerned about e-cigarettes in their many forms. I don't know how many of you are aware, but e-cigarettes first became available really as a product in 2003, so they're really a very new product. And their original intent was to help people who were already smokers switch to a product that was maybe safer, not a combustible tobacco product. We know finally, it took us many years, it was the 1700s when the tobacco industry was really born in this country. It took us till 1964 to put some warning labels on our cigarette packages that this was harmful to your health. It took us several more years, decades actually, to figure out that smoke coming off of that cigarette was also harmful to everybody's health, especially those around the smokers. So in this ordinance that you'll be looking at tonight, the important part of that is that the harmful effects of that vape cloud, which we've all heard for many years now is water vapor, is not. So as you can see on the sheet that you have in front of you, there's many chemicals that are in that vape. They're metals. They have already identified some of those as carcinogens, which, as many of you know, are cancer-causing agents. Vape products contain nicotine, which is a highly addictive substance. Even the ones that say they don't contain nicotine really do contain trace amounts of nicotine. We're pretty concerned about our youth. A certain product called Juul, Juul, is a very small electronic device that is available for about $40 that our teens looks like a USB drive. The ones that I brought to Health and Human Services last week were all confiscated at one of our 2 high schools here in the county. I happen to know that this week 4 of those Juuls were confiscated between 3 young people in high school who were actually vaping in class. So not just having the product on them, but they were vaping in class. And unfortunately, one of those vapes actually also had marijuana oil in it. So it's a huge concern for us in public health and for all of us as a community with our youth. One of those Juul pods is equivalent to an entire pack of cigarettes, so we find that alarming. So what we're asking for is this ordinance, which we believe will promote clean air and healthy environment, just like Smoke Free Illinois Act does, and this really is going within that piece of Smoke Free Illinois Act and giving more definition and more bite to what an electronic cigarette is. I'm certainly not going to read this to you. I know you probably have all read it, but there are so many different names. There's electronic hookahs, there's vape pens, there's cigarillos, there's pipes, there's just about anything you can think of. The way that this is worded, we hope will cover anything that comes out soon. As we said, as we listed all of those things, and we also said, or similar product name or descriptor. So whatever they come out with next, hopefully will be covered. We want to decrease youth involvement with vape products and reduce the illicit use of marijuana within those vape products. We do think this will take the strongest stand possible to protect people. If people want to smoke or if people want to vape, that is their choice if they are over 18. So we are not suggesting that they can't do that. We're suggesting they can't do it in a public place and endanger other people with that cloud of smoke, just like it is with Smoke Free Illinois Act. So anything else you wanted me to cover, Amanda? Any questions from the board? I don't think included in your packet was the Boone County Drug Prevention Coalition did look at this and unanimously sent a letter of support. We have a couple people that are on that coalition. Tricia Smith, who's obviously our state's attorney. Jen Jackie is in the back. She is the CEO at the YMCA, as many of you know. That went through there with complete support. It also went to our Board of Health. Many of you sitting here, Mr. O'Malley, Mr. Marshall. Jen is actually on our board, so that board also unanimously wanted to support this. So, any questions that anybody had?
Mr. Newhouse?
Since you said I'm already on the board, I hesitate to ask this question because I should have asked it before, but if they're being confiscated with marijuana oil, if they have the capacity of one, if I can use the term refill, having the nicotine of a pack of cigarettes, is it fair to assume that up the food chain at the federal level, these are yet to be very well regulated, and we're taking a first step, or is there ample regulation above the county level?
Tricia, do you want to take that? I will chime in though and say that we won't be the first county to take this step. Ogle County, who we all know is one of our neighbors, has also done this, and many cities and villages have also taken a strong stand on adding electronic cigarettes to the Smoke Free Illinois Act definitions.
And our definitions mirror many of the state statute definitions, so it is being regulated at the state level at this time. And just a few weeks ago, I was in Washington, D.C. with the coalition. We met with federal lawmakers there, and they are a little bit behind where the states are, but they are looking at legislation at this time. But it has not reached the level that we're at here.
Okay.
Any other questions for Ellen about this particular ordinance or our proposal? Okay. Just two other real quick things. I will pass around the information on the current transportation survey that is available in Boone and Winnebago counties through the Region 1 Planning Council. It was a little confusing because there were two surveys going at once. The Rockford Mass Transit District survey did end at the end of January. I did talk with Region 1 Planning, and they said that they were very surprised to see how much Boone County participation happened this year as opposed to other years when they've done surveys for what they call the Rockford region. So I do hope that Boone County's voice will be heard as they make decisions about possible route expansion, hour expansion, making changes, et cetera. But the survey that's open now is the Region 1 Planning Council's strategic transportation plan, which includes more than just bus service. It includes bike paths and walking paths. I will pass this around if you all have not taken it yet. I would really appreciate your input, of course, as we move forward. That's part of our Domain 7, which is linked to and provide care. If people can't get to the services that they need, then we don't have a healthy community. And under Domain 11, which is administrative, along with our strategic plan report out, we did complete our 2018 annual report, which is now available. That's required by state statute for a local health department to complete within a certain time frame after the end of their fiscal year. So I did email that out to all of you. And if you have questions, please feel free to email me or contact me. And I don't know if there are any general questions.
Any questions for Health Department? Thank you so much. Next up, we have Regional Planning Council. I don't believe we've had a meeting here recently. So, Ken, anything else in our updates that you know of?
No updates.
Okay. Justin, anything that you've got to add for R1? I don't think so. Okay. On other, I did have somebody approach me about something, and I forgot to include her during public comment. Ms. Bartelt, you had something you wanted to bring forward to all of us.
Yes, I handed out a information little flyer up there. If anybody in the audience would like to have one, they can. I'm a member of the Boone County Animal Services Auxiliary, and we are having a trivia night, and that will be on April 13th, and it's open to the public, 2 to 6 people in one group. We also are now trying to do our spay and neuter program. It will be for both dogs and cats. You'll have to check with the county and with the auxiliary. I believe the charge for a spade or neuter for a dog or cat is going to be $45 to $50, which is a lot cheaper than having a vet do it. We are also doing a what they call a TNR program. We have been contacted by Candlewick Lake that they are having a problem out there with stray cats. So a friend of mine went out there on Monday, and she trapped 7 cats. So those 7 cats will be going tomorrow morning to on a spay and neuter truck into Chicago to get taken care of. And also on April 27th, we will be having a pancake breakfast at Applebee's, and the charge will be $5. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bartelt. Next up, I would accept a motion to approve the general consent items, which appears to be raffle permits and donations.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Newhouse, seconded by Ms. Ward. We have several raffle permits here. Is there anyone representing any of these raffles here in the audience? Okay. I would, just as a matter of point, like to read off individuals that have donated to our Animal Services Department. Robert Christensen, Janice Knutson, Richard and Linda Rimkus, Margie Carlson, and Robert and Christine Bagelman. Thank you very much for all your support to our Animal Services Department. With that, Mr. Newhouse?
Just one comment on your question about whether anyone was here. I don't believe any of the raffles, Ken, made the threshold where they were required to be here?
Correct.
Okay.
Any further questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next up, planning and zoning. Anything you'd like to throw at us, just informative?
I'm very happy to say we have no action for this proposal yet tonight.
Just as a point, there is a PZB or a ZBA meeting coming up a week from tomorrow, so the 28th, I believe, is the date, and that will be the second part of the Plody ZBA hearing.
Let me go a step further.
Certainly.
With that being, if that doesn't get completed, the PZB meeting that we might talk about later, a date that it may be postponed until that action can also be handled when the ZBA is done. So we'll just see how that turns out, and we'll all be notified in due time when that PZB meeting might actually be.
Thank you, Mr. Ellingson. Next up, Finance. Ms. Kieske.
Can I take liberty with my second, please?
Sure.
There, where's Amanda? Amanda, it says here we have to let these fill out the survey by February 15th. Has that been extended? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for indulging me. Item 10.1 is a motion to approve claims with the understanding that Carl Johnson abstains from voting on all claims presented by William Charles, and Denny Ellingson abstains from voting on all claims presented by Conserve FS. This was approved 5-0 in committee.
Motion by Ms. Geeske. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Newhouse. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Sherry Bartelt.
Yeah.
Jeff Carlisle.
Yes.
Denny Ellingson.
Yes.
Sherry Gieske.
Yes.
Carl Larson.
Yes.
Ray Larson.
Aye.
Marshall Newhouse.
Aye.
Bernard O'Malley.
Yes.
Brad Stark.
Yes.
Kathy Ward.
Yes.
Carl Johnson.
Yes. Motion carries. Anything further, Ms. Geeske?
Nope, that's it.
All right. Roads. Mr. Stark.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 11.1, motion to approve Resolution 19-05 that establishes portions of County Highway 14, known as Manchester Road, beginning at County Line Road and extending to the State Line Road as a Class 3 truck route.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Stark, seconded by Ms. Geeske. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Stark?
11.2, motion to approve intergovernmental agreement with the Illinois Department of Transportation for grant funds in the amount of $509,350,000 for road improvements at the identified location in Boone County. This is Manchester Road again, correct?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Stark, seconded by Mr. Carlisle. Any discussion? Mr. Newhouse?
As this pertains to the first motion, if that's again for Manchester Road, are we upping the classification before the money's being spent, or is there a timing issue here?
To get the funding from the state, we had to upgrade that to a truck route. So Mr. Crone had worked on identifying truck generators in that area between farms and nurseries and other industry up there. So to qualify as a truck route, it has to be upgraded to a Class 3 road.
Any further questions? Roll call, please.
Jeff Carlisle.
Yes.
Denny Ellingson.
Yes.
Sherry Gieske.
Yes.
Carl Larson.
Yes.
Ray Larson.
Aye.
Marshall Newhouse.
Yes.
Bernard O'Malley.
Yes.
Brad Stark.
Yes.
Kathy Ward.
Yes.
Carl Johnson.
Yes.
Sherry Bartelt.
Yes.
Motion carries. Mr. Stark?
11.3, motion to approve Resolution 19-06 for motor fuel tax highway maintenance appropriations in the amount of $750,000.
Motion by Mr. Stark.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Ellingson. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Denny Ellingson.
Yes.
Sherry Gieske.
Yes.
Carl Larson.
Yes.
Ray Larson.
Aye.
Marshall Newhouse.
Yep.
Bernard O'Malley.
Yes.
Brad Stark.
Yes.
Kathy Ward.
Yes.
Carl Johnson.
Yes.
Sherry Bartelt.
Yes.
Jeff Carlisle.
Yes.
Motion carries. Mr. Stark?
11.4, motion to approve low bid from Conserve FS for diesel fuel, range heat oil, and unleaded gasoline for the total of $61,121.
Motion by Mr. Stark. Is there a
Second.
second? By Mr. Carlisle. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Sherry Gieske.
Yes.
Carl Larson.
Yes.
Ray Larson.
Aye.
Marshall Newhouse.
Yes.
Bernard O'Malley.
Yes.
Brad Stark.
Yes.
Kathy Ward.
Yes.
Carl Johnson.
Yes.
Sherry Bartelt.
Yes.
Jeff Carlisle.
Yes.
Denny Ellingson.
I abstain.
Motion carries. Anything further, Mr. Stark, you'd like to inform us?
No, that's all we have. Thank you.
Thank you. Health and Human Services, Mr. Carlisle.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 12.1, we have a motion to approve the ordinance 19-13, amending Chapter 38, Article 4 of the Boone County Code, regulating the use of alternative nicotine products. If you heard earlier, it passed committee 5-0.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Carlisle, seconded by Ms. Gieske. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Carlisle. Admin, Mr. Newhouse, I see you have no motions. Anything you'd like to inform us?
Attempting to compete with the PZB committee, we have no motions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. City County, Ms. Ward.
We have no motions, Mr. Chairman, but I would say that at our meeting, we spent considerable time talking about our goal to keep the 911 center staffed. That seems to be very difficult. As soon as we hire someone, someone else leaves, somebody goes on maternity leave. So we are really concerned about trying to keep that fully staffed.
Thank you. Public safety, Mr. Larson, anything you'd like to inform us?
No motions, Mr. Chairman, nothing additional at this time.
Super. Special committees, community building.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we meet tomorrow night, but we also have a committee meeting during the month, so I can report to you that our budget is in excellent shape. We have record revenues coming in, and everything looks really good. We're still trying to fill that last position. We have 4 candidates for it now, and hopefully that last position will be filled very soon.
Thank you so much. UCCI, Mr. Tony, other than the Springfield event coming up in 2 weeks, anything else?
There's an event March 26, 27.
Oh, March. March, February. You know, they're all 1 month.
It all
when it
blends
snows
together.
like this, who cares?
It'll still be snowing.
Yeah.
So if you are interested, please let me know.
That's when we meet with the reps, right? Is that correct?
Community action, Ms. Ward.
We meet next week, sir.
Super. 911, Mr. Newhouse.
In addition to what Mrs. Ward commented about staffing the 911 center, there's been a little bit of an issue on what's called the CLAC designation for iFiber. And it's looking like, as of the last meeting, that may be a difficult thing to obtain, because if we go back and if iFiber was to consider that, there may be old tax issues and things like that, and so it's looking like it may not happen. And so they're beginning to look at different directions that probably will be more expensive for this, and just starting that conversation now.
Thank you very much. Any other committees? All right, scheduling of meetings. Ms. Gieske.
Finance will be on Tuesday, March 12th, I assume at 6 p.m. Yes. Okay.
Mr. Larson.
The next Public Safety Committee meeting will be Monday, March 11th at 6 p.m. in this room.
Mr. Ellingson.
As we were talking before, the PZB is scheduled for the 6th, but it may actually be the same week as the board meeting, so will be announced later.
Thank you. Mr. Newhouse.
Admin will be Monday, March 11th, 6:45, this room.
City County will be Wednesday, March 13th at 6 p.m. in this room.
Mr. Carlisle.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Health and Human Services on the 5th? Yes. And at 6:45?
6:45, yep.
This office, this room. Thank you.
Mr. Stark.
Roads will be March 5th. I think we discussed last time we're going to be in the highway department?
Yes. No, that's in April.
That's April.
Yeah.
You're behind a month, I'm ahead of us. We'll be here in this room March 5th, 6th.
Wonderful. Any unfinished business, Ken? New business?
How about this?
Any informational items you want to share with us?
We've got your usual receipts by the county clerk. I did add something tonight about the billing for the WBK consulting for the Plody Quarry, so I just want you aware of that. And the zoning code allows us to recover probably a substantial amount of that from the applicant. But I'm also working with the consultant to maybe write off some of those charges, and also some of it really is going to be county-oriented due to the meetings and extra work we needed just to process this application. So just wanted you aware of it.
Ms. Ward.
This was the first time I had seen this one. So this is $37,000. It's $37,200, and we got $21,000 for Floaty altogether last year. And now they want this much money for the consulting part of it? Is that right?
This isn't for Plody. This is for the people we hired to help process everything we had to do
With Plody.
for their renewal. Yes. So this is something that Plody will end up paying a lot of. It'll come out of the applicant. Yep.
Anything else, Ken? Okay. Do we need executive session? We're moving. So what do we need it for?
We have collective bargaining and we have personnel.
Collective bargaining and personnel. Mrs. Ward?
Mr. Chairman, I would just like to mention that before the meeting, I met a man who's sitting in the back room now, Jim Connors, who's here with Enbridge, actually. Very interesting man who's been all over the world doing many things. And I love his title, Community Ambassador. Wouldn't that be nice to have something like just Community Ambassador? I love it. Thanks for coming.
With that, I would accept a motion to go in executive session.
So
motion
moved.
by Mr. Ellingson, seconded by Ms. Gieske. Roll call, please.
Carl Larson.
Yes.
Ray Larson.
Aye.
Marshall Newhouse.
Yes.
Bernard O'Malley.
Yes.
Brad Stark.
Yes.
Kathy Ward.
Yes.
Carl Johnson.
Yes.
Sherry Bartelt.
Yes.
Jeff Carlisle. Denny Ellingson.
Yes.
Sherry Gieske.
Motion carries. Before I take a motion to adjourn, I would just like to mention that you should have all received, I'm sure, a letter from Ms. Connie Scott in email or mail form. You should have also received in email form a response letter from myself. I'd ask that you read them both. So that's all I have. All right. I'd accept one more motion.
Move to adjourn.
Motion by Mr. Stark. Is there a second? By Ms. Gieske. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.